Good evening and welcome to Shaker Life. I'm Douglas Drake, and with me here in the studio is Bernie Yolton. Bernie, you're an outstanding skating instructor and skater here from this area. How did you react to the children that we just saw, the toddlers learning to skate?
Well, it's sort of exciting, isn't it, to see them at this age? I'd say these youngsters were probably 4, 5, and 6-year-olds, and parents who are really interested in it, in skating, I should say, should contact Thornton Rink, and they have an excellent Learn to Skate program there. They'll also be running one in their spring semester, which will be starting, I believe, around April the 14th is their spring session.
Mm-hmm. I noticed that the youngsters had a little difficulty with their ankles. Now, every time I've been near a pair of skates, I've had trouble with mine.
Well, I'd say that's a case of skates are not fitting properly.
Oh, really?
Really. And youngsters, not all of us walk completely over our foot. We pronate inward or we pronate outward. Therefore, the skate has to be adjusted to the skater's foot.
Oh, I see.
They can be set differently than square on the boot.
So, in other words, it shouldn't really be a major problem to stand upright in your skates without your ankles going
Not
out.
if they're well fitted, no. No. They need to be fitted properly.
I see. Skates are awfully expensive, though, aren't they?
Yes, yes. I think a stock boot today, for a skater interested in competing, stock boots run around $175 to $200. Then you get into custom boots. With the boot and the blade combined, you're investing almost $400 a pair today.
For a child who's growing.
True.
Mm-hmm. That takes us into the subject of our program this evening, and that is figure skating in Shaker Heights. I've always heard the term a good skate, and tonight I think we'll be seeing a number of good skaters here. The interesting thing is that skating has taken a great increase. It's much more popular now, it seems, than it was a few years ago. To what do you attribute that, Bernie?
Well, I think the media has had a lot to do with it. You take the events that are covered on Wide World of Sports, ice shows, specials on TV. Skating is really, I would say, a highlight in the TV world today.
The Olympics would probably have something to do with that, too, I would think.
Yes, and the coverage was very good, I thought, too, on the Olympics.
One thing I found in preparing some of the sequences for this program is that it's rather difficult to follow a skater with a camera, so it takes a certain amount of skill on both sides.
True, yeah, that's very true.
I'd like to get in now to into the figure eights. Can you tell us what is this exercise that we're just about to see here?
All right, school figures, as we call them, it's the basic for everything you do. Your ice dancing, your free skating. Maybe the general public is not aware that a figure skating blade has two edges. We have an outside edge and we have an inside edge. The sharpening of the blade is should be done by an expert. The blade itself is concaved, which gives us the two edges. From that, we have a forward outside figure eight, and we have a forward figure inside eight. We skate backwards, and we can skate forwards. So your basics, you have 4 basic figures in skating: forward outside eight, forward inside, back outside, and back inside. And from that, we advance into turns, rockers, counters, brackets, and 3 turns. On the film, you'll see some of the youngsters who are just learning how to do school figures.
Okay, let's take a look at that tape now, Bernie, and perhaps you could sort of walk us through what we're seeing. Now, what sort of...
All right, this young lady here is doing a forward outside eight. She's pushing, the lean of the body is within the circle. Oh, we put her foot down there, lost a little control. The thrust at the center is from the side of the blade. On the axis, she moves the arms, the foot carries forward. Whoops. See, the whole object here is to keep the lean of the body completely within the circle from the point of start. See,
Now we're seeing a close-up of her feet.
Right. Now she's on the, if you can catch it, Doug, she's on the inside edge of her blade right now.
I see.
This is the forward inside 8. The object, I mean the perfect figure, is that it's tangent, the centers are tangent, the push-offs are all together. The whole figure could be divided in half, and each half is perfectly equal.
I see.
Here we have a forward serpentine, where we end up with 3 circles instead of 2. The strike-off now is on a forward inside, and on the axis, the long axis, now she changes to the outside edge.
So that's, is that still a figure 8, or is that?
Yes, yes, it's a serpentine figure 8.
Mm-hmm.
We're utilizing outside and inside edge.
Oh, I see.
Figure. So now
Okay.
she'll take off here on the inside. On the long axis changes, the lean transfers to the new circle. Now we're on the outside edge. And in judging this, the judges would look that the changes are on the axis, the long axis of the figure. And on the side, you can see where she went over the blue line there. The lineup of the figure is very important. The 3 circles should be completely in line. And 3 circles the same size.
Uh-huh. What is this? Do people line themselves up when they're doing these things? Is
She's
that-
checking maybe for a mark in the barrier to get in the middle
Uh-huh.
of the patch, what she's doing. This is a bracket figure, level 4 in skating, the fourth test level. This is from a back outside edge to a forward inside edge. See, they're all created from our basic skeleton, which is the outside and inside 8.
I see.
Now, if you zeroed in on the turn, you'd see that the turn is to the exterior of the circle. And at the top of the bracket, a good bracket has what we call bunny ears. There's 2 little bunny ears that stick up on the top of your bracket.
How many hours a day does one have to do this sort of thing to keep one's touch?
Oh, on a test structure today with the standard is pretty high, Doug. These youngsters are putting in this young lady that's skating now puts in a good 3 hours a day on school figures, whenever possible.
That's like your basic piano exercise, I presume.
It is.
Now, when she reverses like that, is she in danger of falling?
If the balance is not distributed properly, yes. Yes, you can catch your edge and go down. Now we've gone from the 4th test level to the 6th. Again, it's a 3-low figure or a serpentine figure. The young lady is skating the outside counter. Now this is an all the same edge turn from an outside to an outside edge. There should be no change of edge in that turn whatsoever.
That's much more difficult than anything that we've seen so far.
Yes, yes. Also, in testing, we have factors, the degree of difficulty. The counter is a factor 3 figure.
What does that mean exactly, a factor 3 figure?
Well, say that she's awarded a mark of 3.2, then it would be multiplied by 3.
Oh, I see.
See, it's a factor figure.
Oh, okay.
The overall form and style is watched by the judges.
Would this footwork be more important, or would, the way the body is held and that sort of thing be important too?
The entire picture that you see of the skater is like the ease in the turn, upper part of the body being carried on top of the hips, arms out, waist high. This young lady, I believe, her coach is Chuck Rosbach at Shaker, who's head professional on the staff there, trains her.
So you would describe her as a certain level skater?
Yes,
I see.
yes. She's doing very nicely there on the counters.
Now, what is this?
Now, this is a paragraph loop.
Okay.
It is a gold test figure, 8th test. It is completely on 1 foot. The 2 circles are on 1 foot, taking off a left forward outside loop, the change of edge, draw the inside loop on the inside edge. Then it reverses. Now we're inside to outside. This type of figure you would see in the Olympic Games if it was drawn. We have categories to draw from.
I noticed the pattern that the blades make in the ice there is...
See, the printing is
very
important.
consistent.
The tracing is taken into consideration. The loop again should be on the long axis of the figure. And the body should flow. You know, like you see, it's flowing very, very smoothly. Nothing jerky and pulling in the figure.
Well, Bernie, I've just learned something. I've just learned that those Olympic skaters aren't just doing pretty things. They're following something that's really very structured.
That's
Is
true.
that true?
It is a complete structured program. Our testing goes, for the youngsters, we start what we call the badge program. And once they've completed it, there's 12 badges in that. Then they generally go into private lessons and start with their preliminary figure test, which we saw the little ones at the beginning doing, all the way up to what this young man was just doing, which was a paragraph gold figure.
When you say a gold figure now, can you explain that a little more?
All right, a gold figure is your 8th test. And
I see.
the signification is that's the last one there is in skating. And when you pass it, you do receive a gold medal from the United States Figure Skating Association.
Oh, I see. Okay. Now, in order to compete in the Olympics, what are the qualifications? Do you have to be in that figure skating association, or?
Yes,
what?
yes. Or ISU, the International Skating Union. You have to be a member of the association.
Now, here in Shaker, there's the skating club and Thornton Park,
Right.
as far as skating is concerned. Can you tell us a bit about the 2 programs, or what's offered at each place?
Well, actually, our programs are very similar. Thornton has their hockey program, their Learn to Skate program, advanced program. They also have an ice show, which I believe is, their ice show is coming up in June 6th, 7th, and 8th. And at the Cleveland Skating Club, we have the same thing. We have the hockey program, badge program, Learn to Skate, Tiny Tots, and then we have our ice show, which is coming up in May, which is going to feature Robin Cousins, by the way, the Olympic champion.
Oh, really?
Is coming to our show, 8th, 9th, and 10th.
I see. That really should be very exciting for the people who are aspiring.
I would say so. My advice to them would be get your tickets early because they're on sale right now.
I see. What's the difference between a hockey blade, there must be, and a figure blade?
The hockey blade is perfectly flat in the bottom, whereas I said earlier, ours is concaved, and we have the 2 edges. Plus, the figure skating blade has the toe pick, and we have a rocker. The blade is rockers. It tapers forward near the ball of the foot and it tapers on the back. So we have 2 points of turning, like your 3 turns or your counters must be specifically done on an area of the blade.
Now, not being an expert iceman, I don't know all these differences, but why don't hockey players wear figure skates and just maneuver their way to goals?
Well, with hockey, I mean, speed is important in figure skating too, but it's not required. We need the rocker for our jumps, which the hockey player doesn't jump.
Okay.
And they're not tested, for example, on edges.
Okay.
So
In other words, they're in there for speed and
Fine.
agility
Yes.
and that sort of thing,
Yes.
but the fineness of the turns, it's not as finely tuned, say, as figure skating is.
That's correct. Right.
I see. Let's look now at some general skating from Thornton. And I'd like your reaction as to, some of these folks that we're seeing here, Bernie. Here's a young man who's obviously having a marvelous time.
And he certainly is enjoying himself, isn't he? This is more like a family general time. Dad, mother, children come out and skate, aunts and uncles, And you often see, probably if you look closer, you could find a couple that probably are going steady out there enjoying themselves, holding hands.
I think blubber on TV.
I would presume that a person who wanted to practice his figures would have a difficult time during a public session like
Oh,
this.
yes. That's why ice time is, separated. Like you have patch sessions, you have ice dancing, which is very, very strong today. We have some excellent competitors in our area from Shaker that compete in dance and singles.
Do you see anyone out there who's obviously got great potential, or is this just...
Well, that's a little hard to say. That's a little hard to say. I'd say these are, some of the youngsters, you can tell, are probably in the badge program at Thornton. But they're out there just for recreation and to completely enjoy themselves. Trying spins.
Yeah.
They're trying to spin there.
It really does look like a lot of fun. I guess my problem has always been the boots, because I never could quite stand up on skates, you know.
Right. But they are important. It's like anything else. You have to have good equipment. You really have to have good equipment.
I see that. It's interesting to me that skating gives the impression, at least to me, it's always given me the impression that it's a free sort of thing. You must feel marvelous, you know, like a bird flying through the sky. You know, you're just gliding over the ice, and there's that swishing sound that the blades make as they cut the ice. But I think what you've been saying is that it not only is structured, but it requires a tremendous amount of discipline, and it's not as free-flowing as it might seem.
If you watch a skater, an advanced skater, as you say, skating free as a bird, that skater is very accomplished, and behind that are many, many hours of work.
Speaking of work, let's now hear some interviews from some of the skaters who we have seen in our practice session. I think it's interesting.
We're talking here to Elizabeth Johnson, one of our skaters. And Elizabeth, how old are you?
I'm 11.
And where do you go to school?
I go to Malvern School in Shaker Heights.
And what grade are you in?
6.
Sixth grade. Elizabeth, what are some of the fun things that you like to do with your figure skating?
Well, there's an ice show every May, and then there's a precision team, which I'm in, and we go to competitions. And sometimes I go on Friday nights and just skate with my friends.
All right, this is Scott Johnson, one of our Shaker figure skaters. Scott, how old are you?
I'm 15.
Have you ever been to a competition, Scott?
Yeah, I've been to quite a few.
Have you ever won a championship?
Well, I've won the regionals championships twice. Once about 3 years ago, and once last year.
What championship was that?
It's the Eastern Great Lakes Regional Championship.
What level?
I won the juvenile level and the novice level.
Novice level. And what did you do after you won regionals?
Well, if you place in regionals first, second, or third, you get to advance to the Midwesterns competition, which consists of 22 states.
And where did it show us the program from?
Well, this is a program, and
Where did you skate?
It took place at the Broadmoor World Arena. It's very renowned. They've had several national competitions there. And the Midwesterns had many famous people skating there, such as Charlie Tickner, who's on a quest for the Olympic Championships this year. And the rink itself isn't any better than any of the rinks around here, but it has good facilities, and there's 2 rinks, and the Broadmoor Hotel is really great.
All right. How did you do, Scott?
Well, I was 4th in figures and dropped to 5th in my freestyle because I didn't skate very well.
We're talking to the Swirsky family, who are very involved in skating here in Shaker. Mrs. Swirsky, tell us what skating means to you. Just in a few words.
Okay. I've always loved figure skating, And when I was a child, I skated at the arena on Saturdays. When Edie was 3 years old, we started taking group lessons together. And by the time she was 8, she had passed all of her badges, and she started taking private lessons from then on. And by the time she was 9, she passed her preliminary figures. I passed most of my badges. My husband also takes skating lessons. And Adam started when he was 4 years old in group lessons.
I know you've been very involved in the Shaker Figure Skating Club. What are some of the other things you do as a skating mother?
Well, we have a lot of different things that we do as skating mothers. We drive early in the morning before the sun goes up, and we sew dresses for the girls. We, of course, are there to cheer the children on, to reinforce them.
Is figure skating quite expensive?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Edie, what does it mean to you? What part do you like the best?
Well, it's rewarding and it's funding shows and it's just...
Are you going to have a show here at Shaker this year?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Adam, what got you going in figure skating?
Well, I figure skate for balance for the summer sports that I do.
Oh, that's wonderful, Adam. Is it unusual to have a boys figure skating, or do you have quite a few friends who skate? Quite a few boys up at the rink?
There's only 2, really. No, there's 3.
3 boys. Well, that's more than some people might guess, probably. Thank you very much.
You know, Bernie, it's interesting to hear people give their views on skating and, you know, what makes them go. And many of these same people will be appearing in the Cleveland Invitational. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yes, the greater Cleveland area has a competition every spring. It is March 28th, 29th, and 30th at the Thornton Rink in Shaker Heights. And we have skaters from all the areas. West Side, East Side, Kent State is also, the Kent Skating Club is also in it. And I believe we're going to have an enrollment of 300 skaters. All levels, from little peewees, like the preliminaries, up to senior. Dancing, pairs, and also singles.
Yeah. Will Carolyn Conrad be participating in this?
I believe she is, yes, yes.
She's one of the outstanding skaters at Thornton, I understand.
Yes.
Let's have a look at her now.
Yes, she's doing a nice job, Carolyn is.
fascinating to watch Carolyn Conrad because she moves with such apparent grace and agility. And here we're seeing her from ice level. Can you give us an analysis of what she's doing and how well she's doing it?
All right now Carolyn is in a flying camel. It's a forward takeoff, landing in a back spiral position. She's made a combination spin here into the set. Good pull. She's covering the ice well. You know, Carolyn's strength has really improved an awful lot.
What is that?
The back spiral.
That's it.
A lot of our positions like that are taken from the ballet, the world of ballet.
There's a great similarity between ballet and ice skating, isn't there?
Yes, there is. And the double toe loop, nicely executed. She's using her arms quite well.
Well, Bernie, thank you very much for appearing with us on this program. It's been fascinating, and it's been very instructional for me, certainly, and I hope for the audience, too.
Well, thank you, Doug. It's been my pleasure.
Good. And thank you very much for watching Shaker Life. Good night.